And little do people know that clothes also, especially the synthetic ones, make it back to the landfill. So there's no way for them to decompose.
And that's the most polluting industry.
Vani, let's dive straight into the concept of understanding first, before we talk about anything big about sustainability or sustainable living or all of that. Let's talk about waste management first, because that is where a lot of this stems from. We don't even know what is waste. We don't even know about how we can manage it. What is what can be passed on, what needs to be recycled, what needs to be segregated. So if you can tell us a little bit about that.
Right. First of all, there is no incentive for people to even look at their waste until they know there is an impact of their lifestyle, especially the kind of wastage that happens in their daily day-to-day lives, and what really happens to the waste, because most people think it is the municipality that is responsible to take our waste, and it is their responsibility to segregate it and do whatever. If it has gone somewhere, it is their responsibility. If it is burnt or if it's dumped. But then the thing is, no municipality can take charge or take care of the humongous waste that we generate. So the first step is for everybody to understand that anything and everything they generate is going to end up somewhere, and what really happens to it is still your responsibility. What happens to it, or what is going to happen to it. So if it has gone and polluted your environment, you were responsible for generating it and trashing it the wrong way. And also we also need to understand another aspect, that there are a lot of resources that can go back into the circular economy, where we are looking at it going back for recycling, which we don't see if we mix our waste and put it. So generally waste becomes a topic of, like, it's at the backyard in your utility. You don't bring this as a conversation in your drawing room. It's like so important that we need to talk at a dining table to tell what are the recyclables, how are we going to eliminate things that are not recyclable, are we going to keep generating waste that the earth can't digest. So understanding how it pollutes, how our lakes, our oceans and our rivers and our air, our water, everything is getting polluted because of the way our waste, especially today's use and throw culture, is contributing to that kind of environmental pollution. So the ecosystem is in jeopardy because of so much of waste that stays, which becomes toxic for the soil and the air. And coming generations are going to take the wrath of it.
I remember growing up in a joint family, and I know that my mom, my chachi, my grandmom would all somewhere wear that same sari for different weddings or whatever, right? There was no like, okay, this kurta is now out of fashion, so can't wear it anymore.
Yeah.
Right? And that concept of just only in Diwali and on your birthday you would get a new dress, right?
Yes.
Versus saying ab to jab chahiye, you can just order, replace, order, return, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That sort of consumption. And little do people know that clothes also, especially the synthetic ones, make it back to the landfill. So there's no way for them to decompose.
And that's the most polluting industry.
That's the most polluting industry.
Most polluting industry.
Absolutely. Tell me, Vani, what are the 3 practical ways to reduce our own waste, and share some changes that are surprising to people when you tell them just start with these 3?
First of all, the first and the topmost priority would be to refuse single use. Anything that you use once and you discard, because to make a product, energy and resources are used, and then the product comes into the market. You buy it, you put money and buy it, you use it once and you discard it, like a bottled water or tissues, and anything that is single use should be refused, because that comes on the hierarchy, on the top of the reduce, reuse and recycle. The refuse comes on top, because that's where we can reduce the amount of trash. Because you go to a wedding, there's so many disposables, single-use disposables that happen. I mean, everything, where does it go? It is non-recyclable, most of them, because they have plastic in them. Even a paper cup has plastic in it. So you first is to eliminate that. Then of course, what we eat. It's very important for us to choose things that are healthy and nutritious and not factory made. They should be whole food. So and also food without pesticide residue. So you have to look at how I can reduce the impact of my consumption itself. When I eat clean food that is safe for me, I am reducing waste in many ways, packaging waste, plus how your soil gets wasted because there's no organic matter, but there's so much of chemical pesticides and chemical fertilizers that fall into the soil and kills the life in the soil. So the soil gets wasted. If there is no soil, there's no life on this planet. If there's no healthy soil, so that could be. And another thing that we should definitely reduce is again food that's cooked in Teflon, which is like very toxic. And secondly, it's used for some time and you have to discard.
Yes.
And where does that go? So anything that is not lasting for a long time, you can use a plastic, which is tough. We can't do without plastic because we still continue using plastic, but it shouldn't be plastic that's used for a short while. So that's something that we definitely need to eliminate. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love the Teflon coating example. I don't think a lot of people have ever mentioned it. And just the other day, I posted a story about a dosa tawa, which has to be of iron, right? One is doing so much damage, and so many people are oblivious of the harmful effects that a non-stick or a Teflon does to your body, let alone the environment. So I think I love that example. I didn't even think that that would actually, once the coating comes off, all of us
it's a waste.
It's a waste. Absolutely. Okay, now you're called the composting queen, and your name rightly says that, right? Can you explain composting in a nutshell for someone who doesn't know what it is, and also activities that kids can learn composting with?
Right. So composting is just a breakdown of organic matter. And organic matter is very essential for soil. So we have, gone on the other way. In days, if you take 2 generations, there was nothing called waste. Everything would go back into the soil. Leftovers would be put into the backyard, and it becomes a part. It nourishes the soil, and then you can grow your food in your backyard. So that's how they lived, people. The farmers also had the same system. But now we've forgotten, and this very essential organic matter, which needs to go back to building soil, is bagged in a plastic cover, tied tightly with other materials that we discard, because all of it's end of use to us, not realizing there is a life in that bag. The 60% of the waste we generate is organic in nature. It's our peels, vegetable peels, everything is from our kitchen. And all of them can, instead of them going away to the landfill or to the dump yard, and in the dump yard, that's what is creating methane, because it's breaking down anaerobically, because they compact it, and the organic matter gets trapped in the landfill. And that's where the methane gets out and the leachate gets out. The pollution happens because of your organic waste mixed with the other wastes. And then if you hold it back, and if you try composting is just the process of converting this amazing resource, which is organic matter, that is all your peels, your vegetable peels, your fruit peels that we eat every day, 3 times a day we cook. We all want to eat a lot of fruits and salads. So how much of peels that we get? Here we can include the kids, they are peeling and they are saying, this is such a lovely resource, let me go and put it into my compost. Then such fantastic examples of children enjoying that process. So you are converting that into the compost, the end product, which is nothing but readily available nutrients which are in the soil. When you put that compost into your soil, the plant has a readily available processed food, which is available for it to absorb, and the nutrients are dense because you have maintained the cycle. That's what is going back. So the process is simple. For composting, you need to understand just 5 things. One is you need a container, because we are all in the urban setup. We have small spaces, so it's the container. Second is the fresh waste that comes from our kitchen. then we can still handle it because we have just eaten it. Don't let it rot in such a way that you can't handle it. So as fresh as possible goes into your compost bin. That's your greens, that's high in nitrogen, and it's lot of moisture. So you have to remember your greens have a lot of moisture, and you have to be very careful to add enough browns. The third thing is the browns. Browns are carbon rich and they are dry, and they absorb the excess moisture as the green starts to break down. So the carbon material, which is for me, example of carbon material is the dry leaves, because we find them in plenty around our homes and our streets, which usually gets swept away and burnt. People burn up all the dry leaves saying that's kachara. So we are the great resource that trees shed for free, which should have gone back to building soil, is carted away to the landfill or burned. So you collect them and use that browns along with your greens to balance the moisture. And the fourth thing is any accelerator that would, or any culture or any microorganisms that will accelerate the process. Because when you're trying to mimic what happens in the nature, composting is happening in the nature all the time. You are trying to mimic, you just need that accelerator to hasten or accelerate your composting process. They are microbes. For me, cow dung is a great, fresh cow dung is a great accelerator, great culture to add into my compost. Sour buttermilk, you leave curd out for a couple of days, it becomes sour. That itself, just 1 tablespoon is enough to add the microorganism for it to colonize, break down your organic matter and create that black gold. And you can buy store-bought accelerators. You have a lot of microbes available, composting microbes available in the market too. And the last one is oxygen. This is an aerobic process. Like us, they need to breathe. So you need oxygen in your compost bin. So turning the pile, making sure there are holes in your container will give them enough oxygen for them to thrive, multiply, and create that, break down that organic matter. It's like magic, in fact, that's how you should introduce composting to the child. Let's do some, hold a stick and say, let's do magic. And every day we'll put this, and after 40 days, we'll see what happens. And they'll see all these creepy crawlies, little bugs. You see an ecosystem there. And it fascinates me even today. I get so excited when I talk about composting, because that's what nature is. Nature is exactly in my compost bin. What's happening in my compost bin is exactly what's happening in nature. You go to a forest, you move the forest floor, it's full of, under the leaves are full of bugs, insects, there are creepy crawlies, earthworms, ants and everything that's breaking down constantly. They're recycling. Whatever falls from the trees onto the forest floor, it gets recycled and goes back as nutrients. So the maintaining that cycle itself is such an amazing thing to understand. We have disconnected. We have disconnected from nature. So once you reconnect by just composting, you start to see how important it is for the planet to be healthy, for us to be healthy. Pandemic has shown that.
Absolutely.
So, for kids, I think, segregation could be a fun game, put different bins and what goes where. They can have this thing, and composting, getting them to actually let them not be afraid of these creepy crawlies. They are all good friends, which are doing a great job in that compost bin. So I think there can be a lot of excitement around just, handling your waste.
Yeah.
And it should be like, we have to glamorize it and make it feel it's not something yucky or, sometimes it can go wrong, but that's a learning experience, because it is an experiential learning. We need to understand it deeply. We need to continue the process till we get a hang of it. So it is just a beautiful process, and just get excited, and I'm sure all of us would love to come.
Right. And Vani, the typical questions that, we've got is, I may be excited, but we're all living either in matchbox homes, or the second one is a joint family system, right? You as a generation may understand it, but your mother-in-law or mother or someone in the family may not understand it or may not be as passionate about it. How do you deal when people ask you these questions? Like, what's the easy solution?
Very valid. people asking these questions, people not hesitancy. You already have your shutters down to, open up also, because you'll say it could be smelly, and I would be very happy to go through the experiment, but somebody in my home could object to that. What is that stink that's coming? We could do without it. And, it could some disease. It could, the bugs could create some problems for our pets or our children. People have all kinds of, these are all, in the beginning, it is, I feel, valid, but that shouldn't stop you from doing something that's so important for this planet. All those will just, fall apart when you don't even have to convince people. You are deep, understanding that this is important, making the choice. It's an informed choice that I'm making, because I know when I leave my home, I'm losing out great resource that should have gone back to soil. That itself, if you keep that in your mind itself, you would want to hold back every peel in your own home and compost. Of course, small spaces, there are people in Bombay with just small balconies that they're doing amazing composting. So the thing is, I feel the constraint is up there, not in the action of doing. So if we open up our minds to say yes, it's not just to bring in excitement, but it is a very important thing, for our planet. We need to do. For me, I only say one thing about why I compost every day, because when I compost every day, I feel I pay a rent to live on this beautiful planet. I show my gratitude because she gives me everything that I need to live healthily on this planet. So it's we who are, completely destroying the ecosystem, the beautiful ecosystem that she provides, this beautiful earth provides. So I think there are very important choices you have to make. You have to stick with the choices, and then it becomes like a part of your life, just like getting up and brushing your teeth. Yeah. All these would be a part of who you are, and you should wear it very proudly on your shoulder and talk about it. So the constraints are all up there, not in the action.
Right. Your recent reel, which we were talking about, right? The milk bag reel, and I was telling you how it's childhood memories for me. Can you give us more examples, like of the 3 R's? And I've learned a 4th one from you today, which is refuse, which is right up there, which can literally become part of every family's daily routine.
First of all, refuse, anything that is used for a very short time and discarded. Second, of course, reuse, age-old practices of nothing is waste, because if something is torn, you use it as a duster, and, you will mop cloth, and, you just keep reusing everything. Even clothes can be passed down. You can pass down so many things, toys. If you want to buy a new, gadget, you can give the gadget away. So somebody or the other can reuse. And recycling is it's very important, because 90% of what we generate is recyclable. 60% is kitchen waste, and remaining every bit of paper has to go back for recycling. Plastic, good grade plastic goes back for recycling. You're not going to generate the low grade ones, because they're not going to get recycled, because our recycling industry is very vibrant. But since we don't care about the people working in the waste, we send our waste in a dirty form. If you have a takeaway, you bring home, you order online, and you get some food like a Swiggy or something like that, and we don't even care to clean the dabbas and give. If we have cleaned it, it gets recycled. If you have left it like that, nobody has the time, energy to open it. And imagine people working in that waste. You're not even giving dignity to them, because in 2-3 days when they get it, when they open the dabbas, it's stinking. So we have to be mindful of how it goes out of our home, so that it goes for recycling. We divert it. In Bangalore, we have dry waste collection centers where we go and drop it off. So we reduce, reuse, and then we recycle. Recycle should be the last option. So refuse and reduction should be the complete lifestyle change that we need to bring in. That's what is the need of the hour. To be minimalist, to buy what we need, not what we want. Look at not competing with people, there are so much we could talk about.
I know. Just the last question. Hacks that you would want to share that makes, I'm going to make that correction, not zero, but low waste living much easier. If you can just sum up quick 5-10 things that people could do, which just immediately will be easy adopters for them?
Okay. So I could just give little examples.
Yeah.
Now, when you have birthday parties, you want to gift in this Valentine's Day and, baby boy. So we always gift in these wrappers, which are absolutely, non-recyclable. If we could just shift, gifting into more earth-friendly, wrap it in a cloth, old cloth, maybe an old chunni, right? Put up a paper cover and put some lovely notes on it. So we should look at completely refusing packaging in this. Today I went for an event and it was all about this kind of packaging and all. Like I am totally.
I can imagine.
And secondly, when you of course you have to take a bag when you go out for purchases, because if you carry your own bag, you're refusing the plastic cover. But nowadays people think they're giving bags that are cloth bags. But these are not cloth bags. People are not even aware, and people give biodegradable bags. But they may have put the mark there, but you don't know if there is enough plastic in this. Still, if this is a single use and it can get discarded and it could end up somewhere remaining on this planet or in the ocean for a very long time as microplastic. So we should refuse this. And also this, which is definitely not a cloth bag. It is polypropylene. If you burn it, it burns like plastic. So we have to be aware that we need to carry our own bags and not, take these. That's another thing. Of course, bottled water, as far as possible, carry your own water, refill it wherever. Just hold your bottle so that you feel so proud that, nowhere have I ever accepted a water, because you don't even know if this is clean, the water. You don't know how long it's been in the bottle and what conditions they have stored it. Because if it is very humid and hot during transportation or in the go down, the plastic is so cheap, it can leach. The chemicals in the plastic can leach into your water. And we don't even realize that. We think it's very clean. In weddings, they just give you drink a couple of sips and leave it behind. You're wasting water, water that's been purchased at a cost. Instead, if we just, are okay with, taking our own bottles and absolutely, refilling them wherever we can, that would be a great way. And I can't stop talking about, sustainable menstruation and baby diapering, cloth diapering, because the disposable diapers is something that we need to avoid, and our disposable sanitary pads, because these are full of gels, chemical gels. There are bleaches, and this is 90% plastic. Okay, where does it go if you're going to generate this day after day after day, and this every month in your period time? So moving towards sustainable diapering, where you're saying it's cloth diapering, reuse should be the mantra. You're washing it and reusing it again and again. Same way for women, moving towards either cloth pads, we get very good ones now, or moving to the menstrual cup, which is like magic. We call it the trash free, rash free, and cash free, because if you can buy it only once in like 8 years, 5 to 8 years, you don't have to buy every month after month. So it's one time purchase. So you are reducing there, and carry a small napkin.
You said cash free, trash free, rash free also.
Rash free, because it's not touching your skin outside. You don't get rashes, and it is cash free. And trash free, because it's not you're not generating trash. So if you can remember this, you will see how much of difference you would make by just opting for sustainable choices. Carry your own. So like, this is from an old curtain, a lovely soft cloth which I made into a napkin. I refuse. 8 years or 10 years since I have asked. I mean, I've ever picked a tissue. So I use my own. It's always there in all my bags wherever I go. At home, if people come, I give them small cocktail napkins, which I put it in the wash, along with my other clothes, and it goes back and comes back. So we're reusing things. So this is the kind of culture we need to bring back. This was our culture. This was our tradition. There was no disposable cultures and things like that. Of course, moving towards natural cleaners. I mean, I can't stop talking enough about going back to the shikakais and the soap nut pods as your cleaners, because all the chemical cleaners in your house that you're discharging are toxic, and they are not only bad for us while using, but it goes into the waterways. It ends up somewhere again polluting. So moving to natural cleaners, right from your uh, laundry wash, to your dishwash, to your mopping, everything can be like bioenzymes. You can make your own bioenzymes at home. See, with citrus peels. All these are things that we can look up to learning, because you are going to make a difference if you put them into practice in your home. So things like that. And of course, I have other examples that I can show where quickly, next time when your toothbrush, your plastic toothbrush is gone, you're done with it, buy a bamboo one.
Yes.
Don't just discard a good one and then replace. Next time when your razor is, you don't want to buy a disposable razor, buy one with bamboo, which has you can keep adding the
Yes.
don't buy something that you can dispose immediately. Same way, toothpicks, and it's so horrible that we get toothpicks which are you get plastic toothpicks, which is like so scary, because where does it go? Bamboo toothpicks would be great option. Same way, your earbuds, people use earbuds. I remember my mother we have this South Indian towels which are thin towels. The corner she would make it tight, and then she would clean our ears, water and all. When we were young, she would take out the excess water after the bath and all. But now we have these which are plastic. So instead, if you can get the bamboo one, it'll be a great replacement. Even matchboxes, don't buy the matchbox with the plastic stripe. Buy the one with the wooden stripe. So small things like that, your clips that you use, they break and they're plastic. So move to a wooden or a steel clip, which is available right now. So small changes could go a long way. You don't have to feel anxious about where do I start what. It could be one practice you pick up. Let me see if I can sustain it, because unless you sustain it for the rest of your life, you're not on that path of sustainable living. So you need to pick up a practice and make sure that it sustains to the end of it. It's not a trend. It's not because you or me are talking about it. It's not because, we did it on an Environment Day or an Earth Day. It's not like that.
Absolutely.
The choice should be to take it to the rest of our lives. And that's the practice that we need to put, and we are on the path, and you organically grow, one at a time. You up your game, and you bring things in, you support your family, you try to see how passionate you are. They get convinced, and they are taking up. So there's so much that we could do.
And it's an evolution, it's a journey, and you will along the way figure out your own substitutes, right? And you'll find better alternatives.